that's how most people think about life insurance, right? What is my death benefit? What's the premium? We build them backwards. So we don't build it for the death benefit, we build it for the cash value. So we say, how much can you put into a policy per year? I can put 10,000 a year, I can put 100,000, I can put $1 million, I can put 5 million. Whatever you can put in, that's what you're putting in. That's what you're injecting into your banking system every year. Then the cash values that we focus on, inevitably you're going to have a death benefit. The more you put in, the higher the death benefit.
What it is, Brad Lee back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today in the studio, folks, I got a real treat for you. Devin Burr. If you want to follow him on Instagram, it's at Mr_Burr. 4 R's. B-R-R-R-R, like you're cold. Burr. Even though it's B-U-R-R. The real last name is B-U-R-R. But on Instagram, it's Mr_Burr. B-R-R-R-R.
4 R's.
4 R's. Welcome, buddy.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
So, folks, if you don't know who he is, Devin Burr is just ultimately a dude out in the world that got a little attention because he started doing a TikTok about infinite banking. You were in real estate, but 6 years ago, you were broke. Broke as a joke.
Broke.
And when you say broke as a joke, like number one, 5 years ago, you're what, 30?
31.
Okay, so you're 31 years old. And when you say broke, what do you mean by broke? Describe broke.
I had $300 in my name. Couldn't afford the apartment I lived in. It was me and my daughter at the time. I was full-time single dad.
And no money?
No money.
How'd that feel?
Oh, horrible. But she was 9 years old. I was trying to keep up with the Joneses, so I had nice stuff, but just broke because I was check to check. Had to file bankruptcy.
But people would need to pay attention to that because a lot of people do that. I did that when I was young too.
Dude, a credit card is a crazy thing. You can just swipe it and get whatever you want.
Those
things got racked up real quick.
But there's a lot of people out there that they look successful even though they're broke, man. They're broke at another level. And at the end of the day, broke's broke. You might be in a nicer car broke, but you're still broke. But I'd rather be broke in a Bentley than broke in a freaking Civic.
True. I was broke in a 3 Series BMW. So I was broke, but I had a nice car, decent car. But yeah, just had $300, had to move out of that apartment. I had to rent a room from a friend. So I just moved into a 1-bedroom with my daughter, sold basically almost everything I had to make it, down to a mattress on the ground.
To make what though?
Just to be able to make rent. So rent to my friend was $400 a month, and I wanted to keep the cars. So I went bankrupt, wiped my hands clean of everything. But if I kept making payments, I could keep the cars. So I was pretty broke and just broken emotionally too, because I just got my heart broken by woman I thought I was going to marry and spend the rest of my life with. So I was just kind of at rock bottom at 31 years old, thinking at that time in my life, I'd be a huge success. Wasn't the case. So I had to look in the mirror and say, dude, you have to figure this out because didn't come from a rich family.
Is that figuratively speaking, or did you go look in the mirror?
I literally was like brushing my teeth one morning and I'm like, dude, you need to figure this the hell out because daddy's not saving you. Daddy doesn't have no money. Mommy ain't saving you. Mommy don't have no money, right? So I had to just figure it out and I started reading books, started listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, and just like feeding my mind with things that would help me. And then 30 days after I did that, I met my amazing, beautiful wife that you see over to your left. And
what was she reading?
She wasn't reading a lot back then. I think I got her into reading. But
look at the difference between just reading. People always ask me, what would I do if I were 18 again? I said, number one, I'd read.
Yeah, 100%.
I'd be getting every self-help book, reading it 15, 20 times, finding good ones, and I'd just be absorbing all that knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
But there wasn't any like, gurus back in the day that didn't have a book.
Now everyone's a guru.
Well, everyone's a guru and everyone has a book. But even back then, there wasn't like seminars and I guess there were, I just didn't know about them.
Yeah.
But mainly how you got someone's information was either their tapes, their cassette tapes that they sold, or their book.
Brad, don't date yourself like this.
What are you talking about, dude? I'm fucking 54. I'm proud of that.
Looking good for 54,
dude,
man.
I'm 54 years old, and quite frankly, you may not get there.
It's true.
I did.
It's true.
Okay, I am winning.
It's true.
You have not won until you reached 54, but then I'll be fucking, what, 74? How old are you?
I'm 38.
38.
So you'll be 70.
So you got 2 years on you, 26. I think I'm 26 years older than you.
16 years.
16
I need my
16
calculator.
Years. You are correct.
I need my calculator.
Someone as long as we're not accountants, because you would be correct. 16 years. So when I was 16, running around driving my car and having fun, you were just coming out the womb.
Yep.
But the point I wanted to give the bomb squad is, read.
Mm-hmm.
Get books and read, like especially the younger you are. But even if you're old, like if you're 60 going fucking, hey dude, go read. I know a few influencers. They're influencers, but they're not necessarily the brightest.
Right.
I know of influencers that will say, you don't need to read. Dude, I'm telling you right now, my life changed when I started reading. Sounds like yours did too.
Yeah, because I'm a believer that your life is basically it's a trailing of your beliefs. Whatever you believe is what your life is going to be, right? And how do you get new beliefs? You feed your mind with different stuff and you start believing those things.
It's the only way you can.
Yeah, and then whatever you believe, your actions are going to dictate that, and your actions are going to dictate your habits are going to dictate your life. So I just wanted to feed my mind with better stuff, not what I was growing up to believe, because I was growing up to believe money's scarce. My parents would walk behind me, turn the lights off, close doors. Like, we're not trying to air condition the whole house. That's what they'd say. So I was grown up to believe that money was scarce. Doesn't grow on trees. I'd always hear that. Money's not scarce. The government's printing trillions of dollars, right? There's more than enough money around. So it's just, how do I get it? I got to provide more value to other people. The only way I can do that is become more valuable myself, right? So I just started trying to become more valuable every single day. And as I've done that, my life has expanded. It's been crazy.
And so here you are, 31, broke. You start reading, you meet her. She apparently has some good influence over you.
Mm-hmm.
And you then what? Like, you're still broke.
So I started doing better at work. I met her at work.
Where were you working?
Quicken Loans.
Loans.
I was doing mortgages. That's where I met her. So she was new. I'd been there for a while. I saw her pass by and I was like, ooh.
Were you a supervisor?
No,
You can't be humping the help, bro.
No, I was a loan officer, but I saw her passing by and I was like, she's kind of cute. So I acted like I was on a phone call and walked out into the aisle and saw what she was working with. I was like, all right, I guess I'll go talk to her. And rest was history. She was 23 at the time. I was thinking this will be fun. Because when I was 23, I was a knucklehead. I wasn't trying to settle down. But she's like kind of beyond her years, a little bit of an old soul. So we just connected right away. And I started doing better at work. She comes from a family of like save. So when I met her at 23, she had like 60 grand saved in the bank.
Dang.
So I'm thinking like, I need that in my life. I can't save worth a shit, right? I would just spend as soon as I'd get it.
Well, that's why you slid up in there. So 60K, dude. Tell the truth.
I mean,
people always ask me, why did I marry my first wife? I said, because she had a truck and I needed one.
It was cool, man. We just hit it off, and she had, truth be told, she kind of had what I needed. Yeah, she could save money. I couldn't. So she kind of instilled that into me, and then I started making more money at work. I started saving, maxing out my 401k, all the things you're taught to do as a successful person. And then I just started realizing I had golden handcuffs. I was making six figures, maxing out my 401k, but getting taxed a ton. So I'm not really keeping that much of it. And I always felt like I was making the company more wealthy. So I'm like, all this effort I'm putting into this job and I'm doing well, I'm really doing well for them. So how do I do well for me and our family? I got to start my own thing. So I walked into my job October 8th of 19 and I just quit. Told them I was quitting. I was getting promoted that day, which was crazy. They're like, you're quitting, you're getting promoted. What are you talking about? I'm like, I quit. I'm done. Just started doing real estate. Had no clue.
Why real estate?
I had friends in real estate, and you see real estate on like HGTV. You think it's cool. Like,
so that's another thing back in the day. Nobody was doing real estate back in the day.
Yeah. Very few people back then.
Now
right?
it's like everybody's in fucking real estate.
It was sexy, right? You see the flip or flop, and I'm like, oh, I could do that. And it sucked. I hated doing flips. I hated doing wholesaling. Made some money.
But you got to know people, don't you? Like I try to call people over to, hey, maybe we should put up a stack stone wall. And I'll call people and like it's like a month before anyone even comes over to give me a bid. Yeah. And then when you get a bid, it's like, stupid amount, 120,000 for what? A fucking fake stack stone facade on a wall? Like that's crazy. Like I could damn near do this myself. All I need some plaster.
Yeah. It's good to know people. Guy to my right. So
you got to know someone that knows someone.
Well, he's a contractor by trade.
That's all you got to worry about.
Yeah. So
you know how much it costs. And a lot of the times, dude, they come over. Once they know you don't know, that price goes way up. Mm-hmm. And you can't be profitable that way.
Right.
So like if you're going to flip houses, dude, you kind of got to know somebody because you got to know that, I can redo that whole kitchen for 20 grand or less. Because that's what you're calculating as you're walking through there. Right. But if I'm like, I don't know what the kitchen's going to cost, and I think it's going to be, 20 grand, and it turns out to be, 60, well, pretty soon I'm out of business as a flipper.
Right.
And where'd you get the money to flip? Her?
No.
Did you talk her out of any?
We did not do that. We used
the question is, did you talk her out of any?
Did I? I think I might have talked her out of getting.
If you didn't, dude, you're not a closer. There's still a girl out in the world that I probably owe money to, that I used to freaking, get money from. But that was back in the day.
She's going to listen.
By the way, if you're out there and I owe you money, feel free, give me a call. We'll get you settled up. It's funny because I swear to you, I got a call. I didn't get a call. I got a letter, and it turned out to be this girl that I knew back when I married my first wife. It was my wife's friend. And back in those days, we didn't have any money either. And, I think I borrowed like, $2,000 or $3,000 from her for something. I don't even remember. And then I didn't know we never paid it, but apparently she sent me a letter that said, hey, I saw you on social media. I see that you're basically rich and famous now. And I'm wondering if it might be a good time to, finally get paid. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she literally saved every receipt, every payment date. Like she gave me to what looked like could have won her a settlement in court. Like it was fucking thorough. And I was so fucking impressed with it. I'm like, unbelievable. So she said, basically, you paid this and you made these payments, but then you and her got divorced and we didn't see each other anymore. And then you moved away and you still owe me like $987. And I said, $987. How long ago was that? It was like fucking 28 years, 30 years ago. And I'm like, wow. Holy shit. I won't say her name because she might not want me to say it, but I said, holy shit. So I said, what's your Venmo? She tells me her Venmo. I go, ching. She goes, oh my God. I'm like, interest. And I probably still save money.
Account for inflation.
Yeah. So if there's any others out there in the world, let me know because I forgot. Like I don't remember that shit. But I do know that I did close a few of the ladies on helping me survive. Someone said when I was in Zuma Beach one time, living there, like not on the beach, but on the beach. Like I was homeless on the beach, but it was by choice. Someone said, well, how did you get away from that? What did you do? I said, I found a chick that had a house.
Living on the beach by choice. Some people pay to be on the beach.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I was down in LA. I didn't want to go home and I didn't have any money and didn't have any money for a hotel and didn't know anybody. So, I go to the ocean and fucking crash out on the sand. You can make a little pillow out of the sand and fucking sit there. And, one time I brought a girl there and she didn't know that like I lived there. We were just hanging out romantically on the beach. Woke up, we were still on the beach. And she's like, oh, we better get going. Can I take you home? I'm like, no.
You're in my bedroom.
I'm like, no, I'll figure out how to get home. But anyway, long story short, I basically ran into a girl that had a house that I liked. And I'm like, hey, how do I stay here? So, hey, people say, well, that's using people. Dude, in my mind, using people, not in a bad way, is smart. We should all be using each other, right?
It's true.
That's how intelligent societies elevate themselves above other ones. Civilizations, they leverage, they use each other. It's just there's a bad word about using people. You're a user. You use people. Like that's a bad thing. It's a good thing. You're supposed to use people, but you're also supposed to be useful.
Right. It's a form of relationship.
Like it is a relationship. It's 100% relationship.
Like relationship is probably the best currency, the most valuable currency aside from time.
Yeah, dude, you can't be coming in here stealing all my shit just because you listen to me.
Yeah.
People are going to be like, damn, that dude's smart. No, that's my shit, fool. But I agree. Relationships, dude. Every dollar you've ever received came from one. Do you know that?
100%.
So that means if you want more dollars, get more relationships.
100%.
Which boils down to more hands you shake, more money you make. And by the way, that's another BL original. More hands you shake, the more money you make. People always say, well, how do I get paid more? Go fucking meet more people. The reason you don't have what you want is because you don't know the person you need to know.
It's true. It's true, because when you said you have to know people in real estate, I was 2 months into my real estate entrepreneur thing, hadn't left the house, didn't make a penny, obviously, because I hadn't left the freaking house, this close to going back to my job. And I'm like, I just need to go where people are at. So I started going to local meetups. I'm sitting in my car. First meetup I was going to go into, I'm scared to death because I didn't know anyone in there. I'm thinking they're all going to be super successful. I just quit my job. I'm this employee. I'm not an entrepreneur. What are they going to get from me? And I almost turned around and went back home. I went into there, met some really cool people, started going to every single meetup, right? I did not miss a meetup in town. I became the face in town. Everyone saw me there all the time. I got 8 deals from January till March of 2020, 0 marketing, just meeting people.
Yeah, more hands you shake, more money you make.
That's it. I got brought into deals, and then this crazy thing called the pandemic hit in March of 2020. Meetups went away. So I'm like, well, shit, now what do I do? That's when I started listening to podcasts again. I heard Chris Noggle on the podcast talking about infinite banking. I was like, it makes a lot of sense. I went down a rabbit hole, started learning everything I could about it, and got obsessed with it. I'm talking about like 2, 3 in the morning reading articles on my phone.
What do you think the best book ever written on the subject is?
Probably the GOAT, the guy that came up with it. It's Becoming Your Own Bank, or Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash. Like a 70-page book.
Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash.
Can you safely predict that they will both perform identically during their lifetimes?
That one?
Of course
That's
not.
it.
Because you and I know someone that can get 200 to 300,000 miles out of a car with no trouble.
Come out.
That's it.
I'm already one step ahead, folks. Go get yourself the book if you're interested in infinite banking. So you bought the book, started learning everything about it.
Yeah, I bought that book. I read as many books as I could on the concept. I think I've read
on
6
infinite
or 7.
banking. And tell these guys, what is infinite banking in a nutshell?
So infinite banking is basically becoming the bank in your own life. So what do banks do?
You have to have money to begin with, don't you?
Everyone has money. It's just, where does their money go? Where does your money go when you usually get?
You didn't have money. I didn't have money. We didn't have money. Not everybody has money.
I had money, but where was it going?
Well, after you met her and you were saving it, yes. But before you said you had $300. That's not money.
Right. Because where was all my money going? It was going to my car payment. It was going to this
bank, basically.
Yeah. Because what does the bank do? The bank makes an arbitrage on money, a spread on money.
Not even their money.
By borrowing ours.
Everybody else's.
They borrow ours with deposits. They pay us a percentage, a fraction of percentage. They take that money and they go make more than what they're paying us. So they're just keeping the spread, the difference.
How do banks go under?
Banks go under by lending out more than they actually have. So when everyone tries to go get all their money and the bank doesn't have it, they have to sell off assets. The bank does sell off assets at a loss. So if they bought into certain assets and those assets went down in value, they have to sell those off. Now they have a loss just to pay back the deposits.
And so infinite banking is when you become your own bank.
Right.
But can you be a bank with $1,000?
You could start one. It's just going to take longer. Yeah.
What's the ideal amount if someone had in their bank right now? Like, dude, if you had X and you just started doing this, it'd be short term before you.
I tell people, like, kind of the bare minimum for it to really make sense is 10 grand a year. If you can put 10 grand a year into your bank, not their bank, Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and then just use your bank as your own banking system. Instead of going to them for money, you go to your bank for money and then just pay yourself back with interest, just like you pay the bank back with interest. It'll work.
So let's just use 100 grand as an example. So you go down, open up a bank account for 100 grand, right? Do you give it to the bank or no?
If you open a bank account?
Yeah, like you're becoming your own bank. Do you have it? How do you give yourself an account? Is it in cash in your bedroom? Where is this money?
It has to come from a bank.
Okay, so you put 100 grand in the bank.
Yep.
Okay.
So you'd put $100,000 in a bank account, whatever bank account you usually use.
What bank do you use?
I use Bank of America.
Okay, so you go
That's
down to
one of
B of A, you open a $100,000 account. Now, let's say I see a car for $20,000. Rather than financing it for $2,000 down and $400 a month, I say I'll pay for that car in cash, right? But then I pay back that $100,000 bank account. The $20,000's now gone, obviously, because I bought the car cash. Now I pay that bank account back $400 a month for 51 months or whatever it is.
That's the concept, but you're using, instead of a bank account, you're using a specially designed whole life insurance policy. Reason being is if you use a bank account and you take the cash out to buy the car, you're no longer making your 0.06% interest or whatever they pay you, right? So if you use a whole life policy, you're guaranteed to make 3.25% plus dividends. So way higher than the bank account pays you, guaranteed, and it's tax-free. You're going to make that even though you're using the money because you're borrowing against your money. You're not removing your money.
At what point did this policy come into play?
So you've got $100,000, let's say, in Bank of America. I'm going to fund my whole life insurance policy with that $100,000. So I'm going to put $100,000 of premium into this policy.
At one shot?
One shot. You can do it over.
Okay, so now your $100,000's gone.
It's not in your bank anymore. It's in your policy.
It's over at Mass Mutual.
Mass Mutual,
or
One
Legionnaire,
America,
or whatever it's called.
Whoever.
Franklin. So, what's the one called?
We use Lafayette Life a lot.
Yeah, Lafayette. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, so they've got it now.
So they've got the money.
And they're promising you more than the bank was anyway.
Guaranteed.
Okay. And you're able to borrow
against it
immediately?
Within 30 days. Usually
it makes no sense. The full amount or partial?
Partial.
What kind of percentage?
It depends on how it's set up, but up to about 90%.
And what if you find you don't necessarily need to borrow it?
Then it just sits there and makes your guaranteed 3.25% plus dividends.
But as long as you're not using credit cards and paying interest on anything, you don't want to pay interest on anything anymore.
Yeah. Because
what if you buy a house, you don't have the money to buy the house yet?
Well, then you got to take into account interest rates, right? Like when interest rates were 2.9%, I'd borrow that all day long because it's 2.9%. It's basically free money. Right now it's 7%. So you're going to think twice before you get a home loan, right? But if you have enough in your policy to go buy a house, still, is it a good decision? Because let's say you buy that house you've got $1 million in cash value in your policy. You borrow against it, you go buy the house cash. Now you pay yourself what you would have paid on a 30-year mortgage, let's say, 7% interest. But could you take that $1 million and make more than 7% interest? I know I can. Could you? I know you probably could.
Well, I can easily.
Yeah. So why would you do that then? Just borrow at 7% from the bank, pay them 7%, take your $1 million and go make more than 7%. You see what I'm saying? Infinite banking is just an arbitrage on borrowed money. That's it.
And it's your own money at the end of the day. At what point in time is that whole life? Like if you die, how much money you got coming?
Depends on the size of the policy, right? So I've got a policy that's as small as $1 million. So when I pass away, my trust will get $1 million tax-free. I've got one that's as high as 12 million right now, I think 12 or 11 million. So it just depends on how much you're putting in is going to dictate how big the death.
Let's say somebody wants 10 million if they die. What kind of premium is that if they're 35 years old?
See, that's how most people think about life insurance, right? What is my death benefit? What's the premium? We build them backwards. So we don't build it for the death benefit. We build it for the cash value. So we say, how much can you put into a policy per year? I can put 10,000 a year. I can put 100,000. I can put $1 million. I can put 5 million. Whatever you can put in, that's what you're putting in. That's what you're injecting into your banking system every year. Then the cash values that we focus on, inevitably, you're going to have a death benefit. The more you put in, the higher the death benefit. Death benefit's kind of the cherry on top.
But I thought the death benefit, if you want 10 million when you die, then you have to pay X amount of dollars minimum.
If you have a regular whole life. So it's just built different. So we're building it for the cash value. We're trying to lower the death benefit. Without getting too technical, there's two parts to a life insurance policy. There's the base premium. That's a regular whole life. You pay a base premium of $100 a month, $1,000 a month, whatever. That base premium gets you X amount in a death benefit.
How come it doesn't start a bank account though?
Because it's just base premium. It pays for the death benefit. It creates cash value very slowly. That's why most people think of whole life as like a bad investment because you're not gonna have any cash from it for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. What we do is we lower the base premium. So if you wanted to put in, let's say $100,000 a year, instead of that being 100% base premium, we make it maybe $30,000 base premium. So now you've got a lower death benefit, but then we take that difference, the 70,000, and you're overfunding the death benefit. That's what's getting you all the cash value. Gets you a little more death benefit, but it's getting you cash because there's no commissions. The base premium pays all the commissions. That's why people want to have higher base premium when they're actually selling it. We want lower base, get you more cash because it's a numbers game. More policies we set up, we're going to eventually make a lot of money, but we're going to help more people because they're going to be able to start their own bank using the cash value.
But if it's a small amount, you can only do it for a small amount.
What do you mean?
Like if you only put $100,000 in there, you can't buy something for $600,000.
Right. So it's all relative to like how much you have.
You can go to a bank if your shit's right and get $600,000. If you don't have enough, you might have to borrow from the bank and yourself. Just depends. And what happens when you're tapped out and the bank would have gave you 60 months and now you're tapped out for 60 months? It's just the same thing.
Well, first thing, it's more of I like to think of it like a business. Like this business you have, did this happen overnight?
Yes.
I know that ain't true. You started at 33, right?
I started yesterday.
It took a while, right? Nothing happens overnight. So like you have to think of this policy as a business. You're not going to like if you put $1 into this business, your business today, you're going to be able to get more than $1 out, right?
Well, right now it's fucking looking pretty good. You know,
it's like it's like an ATM at this point, right?
Yeah, it's getting juicy.
You're doing good. But at first you put $1 in, you might not get $1 out for a while, right?
100%.
Same thing with policies. So you put $1 in, the way we build them, you're going to get up to 90 cents out the first year.
Now, what's the difference between infinite banking and premium financing?
So premium financing is something kind of totally different. I don't really focus on that, so I can't speak on it too much. But infinite banking is just, I hate the word one trick pony, but for the most part, it's kind of what I am. I'm an expert at one thing. I'm going to focus on just that instead of be a jack of all trades. Premium financing is a little different. I'm not too versed on it.
So you said you discovered this with Chris Noggle on a podcast.
Yep.
Was it this podcast?
It was Steve Trang's out in Phoenix.
Steve Trang's.
Real Estate Disruptors.
Now, you were listening to that podcast. You heard Chris Noggle talk about it. That's caused you to buy a book and start researching the shit out of it, right? How'd you end up teaming up with old Chris?
So, yeah, I went down a rabbit hole, got obsessed with it, started learning as much as I could about it.
But still ain't made no money or bought a policy yourself. You're just learning about it.
Just learning about it. And then I finally was like, I learned from this guy, Chris. I should get on a call with him. So I reached out to him on Instagram and DM'd him. We got on a phone call and I set up a policy. It was a smaller one because I was skeptical. Like when I think of whole life, everyone, you think you put money in and you've got a bill. You've got a premium that you have to pay, right? You're not going to be able to use it right away. So I'm thinking I'm going to put this money in and not have access to it. So let me start small. I started with a $6,000 policy. I put $6,000 in. The next day I was able to use $5,200. So I was like,
if you wanted it.
If I wanted to use it, yeah. So what I did, I had a friend that was buying their first rental. They didn't have the money for all the closing costs. So they're like, I got to get like this loan from the bank for 20% personal loan. I was like, I'll lend it to you for 12. So I lent them from my policy at 12% while the $6,000 was still
your
growing.
collection rate?
What do you mean?
Like, dude, the bank doesn't get paid back. They're fine. You don't get paid back. You're broke.
Well, no, I had a promissory note that had a lien on the house. So like if they didn't pay me, I would have got paid back. I would have been able to take the house.
So you took collateral.
Yeah.
Sort. Okay.
Yeah.
So I just want to clarify because people be out, they're going to go loan their friend money and their friend ain't paying you back. You know how many friends owe me fucking money?
I've learned.
Actually, none. Because if they're friends, they pay you back.
Facts.
Okay. So no friends owe me money. But in the past, what I thought was a friend and they still exist and they still owe me money. I got family that owes me money. And it's like, what's crazy is they call even though they know they owe you money and they need more of it.
And they beat around the bush asking for it.
And any chance that you have of getting your original money back rests on whether you give them any more. And if you don't, dude, kiss the rest of your money goodbye.
Messed up situation.
Stupid, dude. I quit playing that game. Now my family, nobody calls.
Yeah.
Nobody calls me for money anymore. The answer is fucking always no.
Yeah.
Like I can show you how to earn some.
Which is more valuable anyways.
Yeah, and you want to know a valuable way to where if someone calls and they're about to hint around and ask for money, you know what you guys do? Beat them to the punch.
Dude, I'm telling you, there's so many things that me and you are alike. I've done this to bums on the street.
Yeah,
you know when
works.
they're going to come up and ask you for money?
Yeah.
I've done this so many times where you know they're coming up to ask you. I ask them first. I'm like, hey, you got any spare change? And they look at you just like blank stare. Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. I'm like, yeah, I don't have any. Do you have any? No. Just, it's so good.
And if you ever find one that says, well, you can have the $2 I got, well, then you give him some money because he was nice.
Facts.
But dude, friends and family, that's the way you handle it, dude. They call up, hey, dude, can I borrow $30? Damn, dude, I was about to call you and ask you the same thing, but I need 300. You know, fuck.
Just add a zero to the end.
Yeah, you know anybody else that might have it? Yeah, no, I don't know. You need money? Well, what the fuck you need money for? You know, don't worry about it, bro. I gotta go. Click. Then you start hearing rumors. Brad's going broke. He needed money. It's like that's better than me actually going broke.
It's all over Twitter.
Okay, so then you said you met Noggle, learned from him, and then you teamed up with him. Then you finally just said, well, why am I not being the Noggle here?
Well, what happened was I got my first policy.
Bumped out the middle Noggle, right? And you became the Noggle.
I wouldn't say I became him because we kind of worked together on everything. But basically, I just started using the policies.
You know, and I know if I know Noggle at all, and I know him a little bit, but I guarantee you he's winning when you're winning.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
So the question is, how do you actually become your own Noggle? Like Noggle's making something when you make something. How do you, because he's got a better deal than you.
100%.
So how come you can't go to Lafayette and get your own deal?
I can. It just comes with time. Like I've only been doing this is going into 3 years. So I learned about this during the pandemic in 2020.
But does Chris do all your shit for you or no?
His team does all the back end stuff.
Support and all that.
Yeah. So
it makes sense. Let him have a little override. You don't need your own team.
So he gets 8% of whatever I do. I get the rest. But like his team does everything. I don't got to worry about building a team. I don't even want to build a team. I'm not at that point in my life.
I know, but I'm a team builder.
Well, then.
See, this podcast, you're looking for people to call you and do infinite banking with you. I'm looking for people that like you that want to call me and be on my team. I'm going to get 100 of you out there. I don't want to be in infinite banking. I want 100 people that want to be. See the difference?
No, 100%. Because I used to take all the calls. I don't want to take them anymore. So now all I do.
You need a team, bro. You just contradicted yourself.
Well, I got Chris's team. I just give up a piece of the pie to Chris's team.
So all you're doing is finding the people?
I'm just putting out the content, bringing in the leads. And
I know, but you should elevate one more notch up and do the same thing, but also for people that want to do it. See what I'm saying? Because that's what Chris has. Chris got you. So now you're out driving him all this business and he's willing to, cut you in. But you're driving him all the business. Go find people like you that will drive you the business that don't know Chris. And you're just giving the business to Chris. Like you don't give a fuck where it comes from. And you give them 8% less. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the guy I want to be.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do shit.
You don't got to do
Infinite
anything.
banking? I don't know. Ask Chris. Chris, another one. By the way, if anybody wants infinite banking, call me. Don't call this dude. Call me. I know Chris. I'll get you in touch. I'm just joking. Call this dude. Call Devin Burr. Dude, that's a good name to where you can be like, obviously you figured it out, but cold. Something cold. Like you're ice cold, dude. That's why they call you Burr. That's a good one. People say my last name's Lea. People say, is that Leah? And I say, I don't know. Do you drink Tia? Because if you drink Tia, then it would be Leah. But if you drink tea like everybody else, then it's Lee. That's how it's spelled, Lea. I've literally had someone say, that's Leah.
You're going to tell me how my last name is pronounced?
I'm
really?
like fucking stupid. But anyway, hey, by the way, in case I forget, themoneymultiplier.com. That's your website.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys want to go figure this out with him, or maybe you're listening and he'll be your Noggle, right? You could be their Noggle.
I could be someone's Noggle.
I know, but in 5 years, someone's going to be like, I didn't listen to Noggle. I was listening to Burr. and Burr listened to Noggle. And so same thing.
Yeah.
But they were both on Brad's show. So the smart motherfuckers will call me. And I'll get you with Burr, who will get you with Noggle. That's what we should do right there.
Just people helping people.
Yeah, that's all it is. And by the way, is there any shortage of money in the world?
None.
No, all you got to do is help people.
That's it.
So I got enough money in the bank right now. I was thinking about, buying some shit or investing in some shit. I know how to make 25% on money.
Mm-hmm.
Any amount of money.
Right.
Unlimited amounts of money. So it's pretty hard for me to go start up this infinite banking bullshit knowing that it's going to save me, because I don't pay interest anyway. I pay all my credit cards off twice a month. I tried to pay them off once a month, but it doesn't work because my wife,
right,
she'll whack those some bitches up, and my credit score goes down. And because I like to be in the 8+ numbers, because I went a long time with bad credit, dude. No one taught me about credit growing up, and when I was young, I got a credit card and of course didn't pay it, and stupid shit. So I had bad credit for the longest time, and all my friends were buying these nice fucking things, but I had more money than they did, but they had credit, and I'm like, fuck, no one told me about credit, so I had bad credit. So now I'm like anal about my credit.
Yeah,
like, dude, if I could, that's another thing I should drop a bomb on. Credit. Read books and maintain credit and establish and keep good credit, dude. Credit makes a massive advantage maker for people. If you have good credit versus someone who doesn't, dude, you have difference. Way better time in life.
Well, dude, I know that one of your big goals in life is to change the world through education.
Yeah,
right?
I just want to get the knowledge from the people who have it to the people who need it.
That's like that is my biggest why in life, is to change the schooling system. Like, they don't learn about credit in schools. They don't learn about what an asset is, what a liability is. They don't learn how to do a balance sheet. None of that's taught.
You should have a course, dude, on Lightspeed.
Ooh, I like what you did there. I like what you did. Okay. But to your question, 25%, you were saying, right? You can make 25%. So why do whole life? Why do the infinite banking? Easy.
Because you're only saving a little interest here and there. Like, I'm not buying a car and paying interest.
But here's what you're doing. You're going to make money, right? 25%. If you go make a 25% return. I tell people all the time, infinite banking is good for really 3 things. It's good for paying things off faster than you could otherwise. It's good for buying things you would have otherwise borrowed money from the bank for. Pay yourself the interest instead of paying the bank. The third thing, and the best thing.
I know, but hold on before you say that one. There's the confusing part for me and most people. Borrow it from yourself so you don't have to borrow it from the bank. If you had the fucking money yourself, you wouldn't need to borrow it from the bank. The reason people need to borrow it from the bank is because they don't have it.
Right.
So how do they get it in the first place?
It goes back to that it's a business. It takes a while to build up.
Right. So what the nutshell concept is, take some money, start throwing it into this thing. Don't make it a death benefit. Make it basically a cash benefit and lower the base.
Yep.
And just save your money. And then if and when is a big statement. If and when something comes up where you're going to pay 9% interest, hey, borrow it from yourself, pay yourself 9% interest. Because what most people will do is they'll borrow it from themselves, but they won't pay themselves back.
Yeah, so you got to be disciplined.
I know, but people will not pay themselves back. They'll be like, dude, it's my money. I don't give a fuck.
100%. But
plus 9%, like, why would you screw yourself?
Yeah.
Like, I was going to pay 9%, but I'm going to pay myself back, 1%. 1%'s fair.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Why don't people do that?
People do that. And that's just not being, if you owned a bank, you wouldn't do that to your bank. You got to treat it like a business. It's not going to work unless you're disciplined and you're just an honest banker. So if you were going to pay them 9% without fail, because if you didn't, what are they going to do? They're going to take your car. They're going to ding your credit. So you're going to make sure to pay them on time every single month.
Which we do.
If you're going to do that to them, why wouldn't you do it to yourself? Because if you don't, you're saying their money is more valuable than your money, which is ridiculous, right? Mm-hmm. But the best use for a policy, hands down, is not the first 2 I gave you. It's the third one, which is taking the money to make more. That's when it gets good. But most people can't do that because they have all these debts. So first they need to pay the debts off, right?
Before they do infinite banking?
Well, infinite banking can be used again to pay off debts faster than you could before, buy things you would have otherwise borrowed from the bank for, or third thing, make more money with it. If you've got all these debts, you got to pay the debts off first You're leaking right there, right? Money's leaving you forever if you're paying third-party debts. So pay them off, pay them back to yourself, build up this capital, this storage of money. Now take it. Now you don't have any more third-party debts. Go make more money. Your case, 25%. If you take 25% from your bank and you go make it, how much are you making?
25%.
25%. If you first put that money in a policy and borrow against it, you're borrowing against it. So you're just paying the insurance company to borrow your death benefit while you're alive. They charge 5% to borrow it. So if you're making in the policy, let's say 6%, that's been the average over the last 20 years. It's making 6%. And you're making 25%, how much are you making?
Well, so that'd be 31.
31. So if you borrowed at 5 to go make that, and you're making 31, what are you making?
Why would you make 31? Because
you're making 25 plus 6.
Oh, on your money.
Yeah, 6 in the policy.
Because your money stays there, it keeps making money.
Right.
Okay, go.
So you're making 6 plus 25, that's 31%. You borrowed at 5 to go make that 25%. So what's your return?
26.
No.
What?
You're turning 5% into 31.
Yeah, but it costs you 5%. So you're only netting 26.
You're netting 26, but you're turning 5 into 26 net.
Yeah, that's what I said.
A 500%.
I know, but
return.
I said 26. You said no.
Because it's not.
It is.
No.
If I'm making 31 and it costs me 5 to make the 31, well, then I'm netting 26.
But that's not your cash on cash return. How much money do you have in that deal? 5%. Your money's sitting here. You're not using this money. It's sitting here growing. You're borrowing against this. You're paying 5% to borrow the money. That's the money. The 5%
So that costs you that money. So you wouldn't be making the 31 if you didn't have that money. You'd be making 6. So if you didn't borrow it at 5, you wouldn't have it to go make the 25, which means you'd be making well, it depends on what you can get on the return.
100%. But if you can make 25, you're making 25 and you're making 6. You're making 31.
Yeah. Well, so the benefit, I'm following you now. So the benefit of doing them both instead of not doing it is because you can use your money even though they're giving you credit for all the money.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's like a bank account that you can use the money, but they're paying you 6% on it.
Look at it like a.
And by the way, if you didn't invest that money, you can take a loan at 5%, and that's tax free.
Right.
Number one.
Right.
Number two, if you don't ever pay it back, what happens?
Your death benefit goes down, so you never have to pay it back.
Well, you'll pay it back when you die. Is the bottom line.
Right. So your family would get a little less, but they'd also get whatever you use.
Yeah, but you'd be dead. Who cares?
Yeah. I mean, you want your family to do well, right?
Yeah, but like if I died and everyone's pissed because I took $5,800 with me, fuck you.
True. You'd be looking down saying, really?
I'd be like, dude, come on.
Really?
So listen, if people are listening, they're like, man, this is interesting shit. Where do they get a hold of you?
The biggest thing is Instagram. So Mr._Burr, B with 4 R's.
You just want them to DM you?
Yeah, DMs, YouTube, trying to build the YouTube up. Used to be TikTok. TikTok's weird. TikTok's dead. I don't get any traction on TikTok anymore.
TikTok is weird.
Really weird.
It's not dead, but it's weird. Well, because I said it the other day. I'm like, dude, am I suppressed? Like, what's going on? I mean, sometimes I've gotten 10 million views on a video.
Yeah.
And I got 2.5 million followers. You would think if I drop a video, a couple million of them are going to look at it, but that's not how it works.
No.
So I drop some and they're like 9,000 and then, 20,000 and 80,000, but just kind of low.
Yeah.
And then some fucking crazy reason I drop a video and bam.
Oh, we
2 million again.
We get into conspiracies of why. I mean, I
wonder what the why is.
I don't know.
How many followers you got on there?
900,000, something like that.
It's good for getting followers, but at the end of the day, if they're not viewing every one of the things that
but they used to, that's the difference.
Or maybe they changed it.
The algorithm changed, and I think it's because China owns that bad boy, and they want people in China to learn some stuff, so they tee them up with all the really good knowledge, and they tee us up here out in the States with people doing pranks and people shaking their butts and showing off some boobs.
Now, if you guys want to hack, if you guys ever want to catch your dude, you can pay attention if you want. But if you want to catch your dude, here's what I've discovered. You open up either one, TikTok or Instagram, right? Now, and when you go in here, you go to this, you go to search. Where's that search? Let's just use Instagram because it's easier. You go up to Instagram, you hit search. That's what your dude's been looking at right there. You know that? You can grab her phone, do the same shit.
I know what she's been looking at.
Have you ever seen that the dude that walks up to people and they're a couple and they're like, do you guys trust each other? And they're like, yeah. And they swap phones and they get busted like right on the spot. It's crazy shit. But if anybody's ever curious as to what my girl's looking at on TikTok or Instagram, you just go to the For You page on TikTok and go to the search on Instagram, and all those videos that come up is generally what they're looking at.
Right.
All the time.
Right.
So just a little tidbit. So go look. If your chick is, there's a bunch of buff ass dudes, and you're a fat ass, guess what she's dreaming about all day? Buff ass dudes. You better get your ass in shape. If it's a bunch of girls in bikini, maybe you didn't realize you got a little freaky deaky on your hands. Whatever they're looking at is right there on that page. Isn't that crazy? Like, go look at your page. You'll go, fuck, that is what I look at.
Yep.
Because they know, man.
It always tees you up too. You get
what do I got? I do have a few chicky chicks on there, but I usually have fights. Like I love watching fights.
We saw one out here in the parking lot the other day.
Yeah.
A little fight with some bum was getting just his bell rung. It was crazy.
I like fights, UFC knockouts, shit like that. But if my girl looked at this, she wouldn't be pissed, except for every once in a while. Every once in a while, which means I don't look at them. I scroll past most of them. But every once in a while, there is one like that, where it's like, wait a minute, what's that? Now, see, by me doing that, it's going to start serving me more of those.
Yep.
So
Screen time, how long you are looking at that picture, it knows everything.
Yeah, I don't like that. And not only that, I don't know if you know, the iPhone takes a picture of you
we
every 5
saw that
seconds.
last night. Yeah. Little infrared picture every 5 seconds.
Fucking nuts, dude.
Crazy.
It is. I don't like it.
Crazy.
And did you see the news where they just issued all the senators and whatnot sat phones?
No. What's that all about?
That means, watch, you're going to see a problem with cellular service. They've got shit going on. That's just for emergency. Don't worry about it. Yeah,
there's some weird stuff going on.
I got two sat phones ordered. But I was ordering the sat phones and I realized, well, who the fuck am I going to call?
No one else is down.
All the cell phones are down and I'm the only one with one and I don't know everybody else's sat phone number. Well, who am I talking to? They're like, well, you can make calls. I'm like, yeah, but to who? Everybody else's cell phones are off.
Just got to make sure everyone starts getting one.
Well, I'm going to get me and my wife one. That way, at least I can talk to her if we get separated.
Yeah.
Like, what's she going to do? She'd be wondering where the fuck I am. Like, get your ass home, dude. My cell's not working.
Man.
Dude, appreciate you coming in. Wish we had more time. Maybe I'll get you on again one day.
Appreciate you having
I know
me.
there's people out there going, dude, this is interesting shit, and they didn't probably get all their questions answered. I should start doing a call-in where people can call in while we're talking.
That'd be cool.
To the dude, and we can answer questions live on the air.
That'd be cool.
We're going to figure that out. Ben's going to figure that out for us.
Well, dude, I'd love to come back. I mean, we're a hop, skip, and a jump away. We're just in Phoenix.
Phoenix?
Yeah,
Okay.
so we drove up Sunday, made a little trip out of it, went to a Cirque du Soleil.
Aren't you glad you came in? Because if you were Zoom, I would have canceled.
Oh, 100%.
I had shit to do. I'd have said, no, another time.
Yeah.
But showing up's like, dude, now they're here. Might as well get her knocked out.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I'm glad you came in.
Well, dude, I wanted to come in. I mean, yeah, I've done a lot of Zoom ones. And it's like, we were talking about it earlier. It's all about like who you're around. I'm a firm believer of proximity. Like, you're more successful than I am, So if just getting around you brings me up, brings me to a new level, I'm all about it. So rubbing shoulders, shaking hands, more hands you shake, more money you make, right?
That's right. Dude, funny. You heard of Ryan Stewman?
Name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's kind of prolific with his work. They call him hardcore closer. I don't know if you heard him.
Yeah. Bald head?
No, not really. He's short though. But anyway, he came in here one day and fucking like 2 years later, I was watching him on a stage or something, talk about it. And he's like, dude, I went into Bradley's office. He didn't know I was listening. He said, I went into Bradley's office and I'm like, he'd say, hey, can I get a coffee? And one of his people would bring him a coffee, and it was amazing, And I thought, dude, like fucking, what am I doing playing so small? So literally he got inspired, went back and freaking hustled and built himself a big old castle for an office. Now he's sitting there with his own studios and his own shit. And he's like, fucking, it was all inspired by me. And I didn't even know it when he was here.
Yeah.
So that's always why you show up, dude. You never know. 100%. You never know. But anyway, I appreciate you coming in. Maybe I'll have you back. Folks, if you guys want this guy back, hit me in the DMs. If you're interested in infinite banking, hit me in the DMs. I'll get you a hold of him. Until the next time, keep it real. Don't sit there and worry so much about what you're going to do in life. Just wake up, have fun, and realize this isn't that difficult. Everybody says it, but it's the same thing. Meet people, relationships.